Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Alif Daniel bin Jazlan. My metric number is 2024265092.
My name is Nur Akil bin Nur Amran and my matrix number is 2024402728.
My name is Muhammad Hamzi bin Haris. My metric number is 2024295456.
My name is McFadden Dikmura Michael. My matrix number 2024236222.
My name is Fauzan Haris bin Zahari. My matric number is 2024265026.
So today we are going to make an lab experiments called saltwater egg floating. What is density? Density is the amount of mass in a given volumes. It determines whether an object sink or floating. If an object is denser than the liquid, it will sink. If the liquid is denser than the object, it will float.
The aim of this experiment is to investigate how increasing the concentration of salt changes the density of water and affect whether an egg sinks or float.
The hypothesis. Hypothesis for freshwater. If an egg is placed in freshwater, it will sink because the density of the freshwater is lower than the density of the egg. The second hypothesis is for salt water. If an egg is placed in salt water, it will float because the density of the salt water is higher than the density of the egg.
So before we proceeding into this experiment, first of all, we need to know the lab safety. So which is the first one is we have to wear a lab coat, a glove and a safety goggles, which is like a PPE for lab. And then we need to follow the teacher's instruction and we cannot eat or drink in the lab during the experiment and keep your work area clean and tidy. And let's say if you handle any chemical stuff, you need to handle it carefully, properly, all right? And then let's say if there's any water, you need to dispose it into the water container, which is like a sink or something else. And the last one is you need to wash your hands before you're leaving the lab.
So the equipment we use for our experiment, which is density, is 1 tablespoon, 2 eggs, 2 glass of water, salt, and 500 millimeter water. So let's go to our experiment.
So for this experiment, which is quite easy, there's 4 simple steps, which is the first one, we have to fill the water in these 2 empty glasses, right? All right, and then for the second step, one of these glass, we need to fill 4 tablespoons of salt. And then right after that, maybe we need to wait a few more minutes to let the salt dance in the water. All right, and then for the last step, we just need to put the egg into one of these containers, which is the first egg into the clean water. And then for the second egg, into this cup. All right, so here's the result, which is the first cup. As you can see here, the egg is sink into the bottom of this cup. And then for this egg, this cup, as you can see here, the egg is floating in this cup.
So based on our experiments today, we can conclude that the egg ability to float depend on the density of the water. In the first glass, the egg float because the water was denser, likely due to the additional of the salts. The higher density create a greater buoyant force, allowing the egg to float. In the second glass, the egg is sank because the water was less dense than the egg. This experiment was clear, demonstrate that object floats when the liquid is denser than the object and sink when the liquid is less denser. Therefore, density play an important role in determining whether an object floats or sinks. The hypothesis is acceptable and approvable.